I love my eyeballs. I don't mean it in a mean way to myself. I mean it just as a fact. Anyways.
Fun fact, last episode we said it was episode 82. It was not.
No.
It was in fact 83.
Indeed was not. So this is episode 92.
This is episode 306. So
if we have 306 episodes and I'm still in this room with this jank ass equipment, I'm gonna be pretty upset.
Buck
I'm gonna let
asked
you
me
know.
the other day, he's like, how many episodes are you guys gonna go to? And I was like, honestly, I have no idea. We've never thought about it.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
Not putting a limit on my potential.
We're 82 and
Idiot.
fighting with each other over Zoom because we can't get it to work.
Until they put me in the same room as you at the fucking old folks home.
Yeah.
The fuck? That'll be my last episode. Put me in a room now. I'm just kidding. I don't think I'm going to be a sassy old lady. I think I'm going to be sneaky.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I'll be conniving. I don't think I'll be sassy. I think I'm going to be super sweet to get my way.
I'm probably going to be a huge cunt. Let's be real.
Yeah, you're going to be mean. You're going to be fucking mean. You are. You are. Because when you were talking to me today about the blood work, I was like, Steph, it's annoying to wait, but it's going to happen.
I wasn't rude to anybody at the hospital.
I know that you weren't rude. I know that you weren't. I know. But in my mind, I was like, Steph. So they're going to come to a blood draw in your room, like in your fucking room. You don't even have to go anywhere. You're going to be like, again? They're going to be like, I don't know how many times we got to go over this. Please give me your fucking arm.
Probably like 10, 15 years ago, I probably would have been rude to them. But now I'm like, it's not their fucking fault. They're doing their job.
No, oh my God. I know you're just standing there and everything's in your head like, come on. That's the same way with me, but today I was on the receiving end because we're pre-batching these, okay? So this is gonna come out like February or something.
June 28th.
Some wild ass time. But in reality, it's November. So today's Soph's half birthday, so I went and got her Starbucks and a cake pop, not a K-pop, a cake pop.
Just got her Korean pop music CD.
I got her the band. I make that much money. I bought the band and flew him to good old Wisconsin. I don't even know the thing, but
school for her.
Yeah, I brought him into school and God, yuck. Anyways. Got her a cake pop and I brought it to school. But when I drove into the school parking lot, I was like, there's definitely going to be some spots, right? Indeed, there was no spots. None, because I did not account for the fact that there was going to be a performance today. So I parked illegally, and because there was a performance, people had to go around me. And I was in the way. And I was like, I'm gonna have a fucking panic attack. Because like I parked earlier and I had to wait until school was out. So I had to like sit there for like 10 minutes as 3 people tried to get around me. I was like, this is it. I can't be here anymore.
Screaming at you through the
I literally, people had it like my one friend Brittany listens. So Brittany, if you're listening in June next year, I blocked you. I'm sorry. Because she had to get out and she was like, I have my kid. Can you please pull up? Like, because people get so stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful segue into today's topic. People make judgments.
Correct.
About what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I have my kid. I'm trying to move. Like, she was super sweet about it. But I know in her head, she was like, the fuck? I'm not going to fucking fight you in the pickup line. Can you move, please, so I can go home? But anyways. So today, episode 84, we're talking about judgments.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about judgments before.
Correct.
But this came up and I felt some type of way about it, made my own judgments. Well, it came up for a certain situation. I mean, obviously judgments come up literally on a daily basis for us. Like I literally make judgments every 42 seconds. So I don't even know how I focus on life, but this came up when a client was talking to me about my office space, and Steph is going to have an office office space by me. So our office space, because we're going to claim the building one day. So we're taking over
the whole thing
soon, hopefully. But for right now, we have 2 offices. And so I have windows and I leave my windows open, and I leave my windows open for very specific reasonings. One, that I like natural light. I do not like having overhead aggressive ass lighting. I think it's absolutely
like when you're getting a pap smear.
Yeah.
The abrasive.
Oh my
God! Like they're so abrasive.
Where are we?
So abrasive.
God, is that cute? Anyways, so I don't like overhead lighting. It's because I'm ADHD.
Only people with ADHD can't handle overhead lighting.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen that as an actual reel, and I was like, no, it's because fluorescent lighting gives people migraines. Correct. There must be a study somewhere. Correct. Anyways, so because I have childhood trauma. Anyways,
we can go on.
Yeah, I won't stop. So as evidenced by me and Steph's direct messages on Instagram.
Yes.
So that's number 1. I like having natural light for me and my plants and my patients, but mainly me. So I don't like aggressive overhead lighting. I also like people being able to see outside because I don't like not knowing what's going on with the weather. It's just a thing about me. It's not like I need to know when it's raining, but like what I don't want to have happen is be inside all day for 9 hours and then come outside and there's 4 feet of snow. Correct. And I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't call anybody. I didn't make any arrangements for someone to come get me.
You don't have the weather playing the whole time in session.
Yeah.
So
I literally have slippers and no boots, so I'm fucked. So anyway, the weather report's going on.
I'm just gonna have the weather playing in the corner. I just need to be aware of it at all times. I hope that's okay.
This is my weather TV. I just leave it on the news. How depressing. So that, and then another reason is when I'm doing EMDR, I use TheraTappers, which are little paddles that buzz back and forth. So I personally like it when clients close their eyes and visualize, but sometimes that's too overwhelming. So it helps if you stare at something that is like a blank space, right? But because my office is smaller and the way that my couch is set up, you'd be staring at my bookshelves, which is very overstimulating. There's lots of things to look at: titles, colors, pictures, plants. So I have them look outside because where we're positioned, if they look straight up, they can just see the sky. So, I mean, you might see a bird or two, but realistically nothing's going. So then they can stare out there until the processing pass is done. And then, we continue with the EMDR. So the statement was made: why would somebody leave the blinds open when somebody is there going through the worst part of their life, like the worst time of their life, then people can witness that? So first of all, I had an emotional reaction to that. Immediately in my head, I was like, excuse me? First and foremost, check yourself immediately, because I, for one, don't have on my window, this is a therapy office.
I was just gonna say,
and people are
people are
processing
trauma. Please look in so you can see who's in here.
Reprocessing sexual assault right now as we speak. Why are you staring at my office? It's really fucking creepy. It's really creepy. Boo. Anyways, so I emotionally immediately got defensive, not like with my client, but like in my mind, I was like, what? Then understanding that there's always going to be that emotional reaction. There's always going to be that immediate snap judgment. I've done a lot of work on myself. So took a step back and I was like, okay, what am I reacting to? I'm reacting to, because that initial emotional reaction is a personalization of like, I'm not a good therapist. I'm not protecting my clients. I'm blah, 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 blah,
sure.
blah, blah. So I was like, give me facts that prove that that's true, Maury. How are you not a good therapist? What does that mean? How did you, when you see clients, do you put their personal information up on the window?
I do. I actually post it outside my door so everybody can see who's
I actually have a megaphone and I say, now serving sexual trauma.
Date of birth for this individual is
now serving sexual trauma, birthday. But like,
we're joking, by the way,
obviously. Oh my God. Nobody come arrest me, please. So I was like, okay. So immediately was like, okay, let's challenge that. Give me facts that prove that that's true. Now I ain't got none, because I know I'm a good therapist, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And I make it very important part of my practice to make sure that clients feel comfortable and feel safe and feel whatever. Clients know that they can ask me literally anything about the office space that they need or want. I tell them you can sit on the couch, you can sit in this chair, you can sit in my desk chair, although it's extremely uncomfortable, entirely up to you. You can lay on the floor, you can lay down on the couch, I can shut all the blinds if you would like me to. I can shut one or two, because sometimes the sun comes in at awkward times and it's very bright. Like, I can change the little sound machine that I have. Like, clients know, like, I can turn my diffuser off. Like, it is entirely up to them how they want the space to be. I let them know that, like, whatever you need to make this more comfortable, besides turning on the overhead light, because that is my hard, fast rule. I'm not turning that on. I'm not doing that. I can't see what I'm writing. I'm not doing it.
No.
So that's my one hard, fast, like, we're not doing that. There's plenty of light in here. So I just was like, wow, the judgments we make about other people. And then had I not had been self-aware in that moment to be like, whoa, what are you reacting to? You don't need to go further into this. What is this? Let's unpack it a bit. It's wild to me. That was my point. I was waiting for you to jump in.
I agree with you. There's nothing else.
I was like, what do you do? Does that happen to you? Just kidding.
As far as judgments go, and we talked about this in the first episode that we talked about judgments, I think, is that sometimes judgments have to be made in order to keep us safe, right? Like, if you are in a dark alley, a judgment of like, I don't feel comfortable walking past this person by myself, like, that's a judgment, right? You make a snap judgment and you react accordingly. I can think of a lot of times that, and I love my mom very much, but when I was 19 and I moved out, I felt judged a lot for the way that I spent my money, because she'd be like, well, are you paying your rent? I always paid my rent, by the way. Did I make dumb choices with money? Yeah, I was 19. I was fucking stupid, right?
Samesies.
But like, there was a lot of shame, I feel like, that came with that too, of like, well, you're taking off work to go up to Madison for the weekend of Halloween. Do you think it's a smart idea, right? Like, prejudging what I'm going to be doing, right? And it was all coming from love. Like, she was wanting to make sure I was taking care of myself and things like that. And it's a judgment, obviously. When I am driving, I get very irritable with the choices that people make.
You do.
And my 9-year-old is following suit, and he's not even driving. He's just in the backseat. It's like, why are people so dumb sometimes? And I'm like, God damn it. Like, I really need to watch what I say. Like, I really need to watch what I say, because I don't want him to be like a grumpy old man at the age of 9. But like, this is like, I see this as a meme all the time, right? When you see like a busted ass car and they pull it in front of you, you're like, that's why your fucking car's fucked up, because you don't know how to fucking drive.
Yeah, that's why you got sideswiped.
That's like an instant judgment, when in reality, like, they could have been parked and their car got smashed. I don't know.
But then in my mind, I am like, why didn't you fix that? Why is that not fixed yet? Why are you driving that around? Like, I go.
And I think it can go very fast if we don't stop ourselves.
Oh, immediately. Right? The thing that frustrates me is there's a lot of people in my life who I know care about me and who love me. I think that the way that they deliver things does not sit well with me. When you were just talking about your mom thing, I was like, oh man. There's a reason why I went to Steph for my budget and not my sister.
Sure.
My sister is phenomenal with money. In my eyes, phenomenal with money. She knows her financial shit. She knows what she's talking about. She's very good. She is efficient. But sometimes her delivery, and maybe it's just because like this unconscious want of like wanting my sister's approval, wanting her to be proud of me. Because I think that that's like my underlying, I don't know if it's like inner child healing. I don't know if it's just like my underlying like need or want for this life, but like I want the approval of the people in my life, not because I think that it makes me valid, but just because like I love that.
Because it feels good.
Like, right. Like this, like, And I think it's like the words of affirmation, love language, but
Mhm.
like on a deeper level, like you see me, you
Mhm.
value me, because I respect them so much.
Mhm.
So there just are moments where Tara does not deliver messages in the way that feels good to me. But I also feel I'm extremely hypervigilant when accepting or looking at her feedback. Like I feel like my brain is wired to be like, what's that facial expression about? What
Mhm.
do you mean by that? Like,
Mhm.
and the same goes sometimes for when Jeff delivers things of like taking off work. Like if I have to cancel a client or take some appointments away, he's like, I don't know if you should blah blah blah. Like it just questions it, right? Which I am very, very conscious of the time that I take off and canceling appointments.
Mhm.
I rarely do it because I know when I set my appointments, I want them. Like when I
Mhm.
set my wax appointments, when I set my nail appointments, when I set my hair appointments, I am so looking forward to those moments. So I view it like in my mind, I think that people look forward to talking to me, right? Why would you keep coming back if you didn't want to talk to me?
Sure.
So I do my best to keep those appointments. I feel bad when they have to get canceled. And I make this judgment sometimes on myself of you're not being a good therapist, you're not being this, you're not being that. But then like just this last time when it was like that random ass weather and there was the tornado warning and I kind of got a little panicked, canceled some
Mhm.
appointments, and then went home and was going to try to do some via telehealth and then our power went out. So I was like, well, I guess it is a good thing that I canceled them
Mhm.
because fuck what I look like sitting in my office with no fucking power. But then also too, one of those situations where I can feel silly or stupid if I'm home, but if something really was to happen,
Mhm.
would I feel silly or stupid being swept up by a fucking tornado? Like, no,
Right.
I'd be like, I should have canceled. So I mean, it can go both ways, right? You just have to do what feels good for you in that moment and understand that what will happen will happen. And you have to make the best choice for right now, right? It's
Mhm.
not the best choice for the next year, the next 5 years, the next whatever. It's just the best choice for right now. So being able to recognize, like, let's not make judgments about what people are going to think, for blah, blah, blah. Like, I have to make this choice for me and know that I don't need to place a judgment on myself because I'm doing it because this is what feels good for me right now.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I know that we're talking about like the judgments that we make on certain things sometimes too, but I also think that we can touch on not doing things out of the fear of judgment from other people.
Yeah.
People
Oh
are
my
going to
God,
judge you
yeah.
whether you live life as fucking Mother Teresa or Satan. It doesn't matter. So do what makes you happy. You know what I'm
Grow
saying?
horns and be
Like,
red. Like,
yeah,
I
do
literally, that
it.
is something. Slay your enemies. Oh God, I wish I remembered how the rest of that sound went. Sometimes this is another thing. Sometimes I wonder if people judge me for the random ass like sentences and shit that I say that are reels that like I see and like know, so then I say them and people are probably like, where'd that come from? And then they'll eventually get it. Because like had you not known what I was talking about, that'd be really fucking weird. But anyways, so I literally forgot what we were
The people are going to judge you
Thank you.
regardless of what you
Yes,
do.
this came up in a session today. A client avoided a party because they were worried about what people were going to think because of the reason as to why she did not want to go to the party.
Mm.
And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, let's unpack this. Like, first and foremost, we're making this cognitive error of fortune telling, labeling, mind reading, because we're talking about a situation that hasn't happened yet, and we're
Mhm.
talking about how people are going to feel about us in this made up situation that hasn't happened yet. So we're already prepping for something that we have no idea what it's going to look like because it's in the future. So first and foremost, there's no control because
Correct.
it's the future. So you have to come back to present and recognize, okay, well, what's going on right now? And again, it's consistently taking a step back and recognizing, how can I show up for myself? How can I honor myself, what feels good for me? How can I set boundaries for myself, for other people, blah, 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 blah. It has to come back to you because you have to do what feels good for you. You can go to the party and be there and tolerate the reason as to why you didn't want to go. But then at the end of the night, does that feel good? When you go home and lay your head on the pillow, does that feel good?
Mhm.
No, you you weren't listening to that intuition, that gut feeling that was coming up for you. You made the judgment of, well, other people are going to think XYZ about me, or they're going to judge me, so I'll just act or abide by how I think that they want me to be. When you have no idea how they want you to be. They probably don't even care because they're so busy being preoccupied in their own mind with what other people are going to think about them that they're not even focused on you for what you think that they're thinking about you. So that comes up all the time of like people not doing things or not saying, well, I'm worried about them saying this, or I'm worried about this happening. You have no idea if that's going to happen. But then also, if, say, a situation happens, you make a judgment of how you think people felt about you, unless you asked them and had a conversation like, hey, the story I'm telling myself is that you're upset with me because I didn't go to this party. If we're not having that conversation, you cannot say for a definitive whether or not this person feels some type of way about you.
Correct.
You can't.
I've come to realize that, excuse me, as I'm teaching my 9-year-old that other people's opinions of you don't actually matter as long as you're being a nice human. I think I was taught the complete opposite. I think I was taught to care about what people thought about me and
100%.
how they perceived my behavior and how it would impact how they viewed my parents.
Yeah.
And then I became a perfectionist because I felt like I had to be all the time.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that I'm constantly telling him, like, I just want you to be happy. I want you to do things that make you happy. Other people's opinions don't matter. Everything when you're fucking a kid is competition, right? So for example, his friend is telling him, well, my other friend is stronger than you. My other friend can do this better than you. And I'm like, honey, that's just normal things that people say at your age because they're trying to relate. They want to be better. Like, it doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel about you, right? Like, I wish that I was taught that. And it's not a fault of my parents. My parents were very young when they had me and they had terrible upbringings. So like they didn't have the best teachers.
Yeah.
But I see it a lot too with like teenagers that I work with in terms of getting in trouble or doing something that then disappoints their parents, and their parents' reaction are like, what are people going to think of us? And I'm like, that they have kids who are making mistakes that kids do. Because at the end of the day, kids are making their own choices. It's not a reflection. I shouldn't say it's not always a reflection, because sometimes it is a reflection of what the parents are or are not doing at home. And that just is what it is. But those are more extreme circumstances, I think, than what I'm actually talking about. But at the end of the day, I just really feel like people judge for lots of different reasons. Could be for ignorance, jealousy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many reasons for it. You can't possibly keep up with it.
No.
So why do we give a fuck about it?
Because we're taught that from a young age.
I know.
If you don't behave like this, people aren't going to want to be your friend. If you don't do this, people aren't going to like you. If you don't wear this, people won't know that you're a girl. If you don't do blah, blah, blah. Like, it just goes on and on. And if you don't come to work with, open books and wanting to learn, then you're going to be perceived as the know-it-all. If you don't, if you don't take on this extra work, people aren't going to think you're a team player. Like, it is these constant stories that we are sold. Like, if you don't go to college after school, people are going to think that you're an idiot, or people are going to think that you're
not going to amount to anything.
You're not going to amount to anything. If you don't, if you don't get a job that has a degree, then, you're not going to make enough money, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just this constant bullshit we're fed since we're younger, which the shit thing is too, is sometimes when we're younger, our parents can tell us something, but then the actions of the adults that are in charge that aren't us show opposite.
Correct.
So then it's like these mixed signals of like, I'm not supposed to care about what people think, but I did something not caring about what people think. And now look at the ramification from that, blah, blah, blah. Like Sophia, she's in a play, and I think that she searches for approval from adults. I think that's just part of, like, she has a little perfectionistic stuff showing up, little anxiety stuff showing up, that I'm just trying to monitor and not place all these diagnoses on her. But I swear to God, like, I make those judgments constantly where I'm like, Mari, pull
Are you kidding?
back, stop.
It's overwhelming.
It's beyond over. Yes. So she was saying that her teachers were talking about something, and she said they weren't talking to her. They're just talking out loud, not separately, away from whatever, but they were just talking aloud. She said, I think we should keep it. And the one teacher was like, we didn't ask you. Uh-huh. Whether or not that's what was actually said, I don't know, but that's what my 9-year-old perceived and interpreted, and then spit back out to me and was upset and was crying when I picked her up. And so I sit here and tell her, speak your mind, don't worry about what other people think about you, as long as you're appropriate or polite, like in the sense of like, you can't tell people to fuck off, but you can tell people, I don't want you to talk to me. Like you can, like there's a difference. And I literally spell it out for her like that. I don't sugarcoat things. I tell her like, you can't flip your desk over and be like, fuck, you don't talk to me, but you can say, I don't want to talk to you. Quit interrupting me. Like I'm trying to pay attention. And I said, and get loud. If that person is not listening to you, get louder and then tell the teacher, because eventually they're going to feel a bit embarrassed when you're like, please stop talking to me, and you're loud about it and whatever. So I say that, but then this happens. So then it's this constant mixed message too, that everybody is receiving. We received this kids. She's receiving as a child. Our parents didn't receive shit because their parents didn't do shit. So mental health wasn't real. Mental health wasn't real.
Yeah.
You need a good spanking. You need a good backhand. Like, what the fuck? You get some beating your, okay. That's a hill we could both die on, but whatever. So the point that I'm trying to get at is that being this kind of like thing that has come up recently, and that's what we're pulling from for an episode. So yes, if you want to know how to handle judgments and want to know how to work through them, go to the first judgment episode. But realistically, what I want to leave you with is that judgments are all around. We make them every day. I think the important thing and the only thing that you can control is yourself and how you react, but also taking that step back and recognizing, okay, there's this emotional response. What is this emotional response trying to tell me? Your emotions are a data point. They're signaling something for you. Your emotional mind is purposeful. It doesn't feel like it all the time, but sometimes it's demonized because we do sometimes have some outlandish behaviors because we react impulsively, but it really is purposeful. It's trying to tell you something. So take a step back and be silent and try to notice what your body and your mind are trying to tell you. Oh, I feel like I'm being judged because XYZ or because blah, 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 blah. Okay, then acknowledge that and then figure out whether or not there's a cognitive error at play. Because the second I took a step back and I was like, I feel like my integrity as a therapist is being attacked. And I was like, no.
Let's not be dumb.
I was like, I mean, you can try, but I won Best Ever Seen and I was hometown favorite. Like, shut up. Like, I literally won. Like, I won the contest. Like, I don't like, it's just in my mind, I was like, no, I know what I do. Like, I for certain know that I'm very intentional with the way that I show up for my clients. So you're not my client. So, I mean, if you have questions, feel free to knock on my door and ask.
Another little aspect that you and I are really good about doing with calling each other out and even ourselves out at times too is clients do this all the time where they'll be like, I know this sounds stupid, but, and then we have to say, okay, that you're putting a judgment on yourself and what you're about to say. Let's not do that, because then you're constantly telling yourself that you're stupid and that whatever you say is dumb. Whatever comes out of your mouth is stupid. And so we're pretty good at catching it. Or if I don't catch it, Maria will be like, where's the judgment coming from? Like, we're not going to judge, like just say what you have to say. Like you need to be aware of how you're speaking about yourself every day. Because that shit sticks.
Yeah, what you're saying out loud, your conscious brain is saying out loud, your unconscious brain is picking up. Whether or not you mean it joking, like your unconscious brain doesn't decipher between that. You say you're stupid, your unconscious brain believes it. So like, there's no need for you to be saying those things. Like Steph and I were joking about something earlier and I said, yeah, it's because I'm fat. And saying it was like, my immediate reaction was like, why did I say that? Like, I don't ever say that about myself. And then I was like, oh, I don't really mean it. I literally don't. But then this is just a good reminder right now. So I was like, yeah, but you could say it in a nicer way. And I was like, well, now having this realization, talking about all of this, yeah, I could. I absolutely could, because my unconscious brain is picking that up. And I don't think that about myself. Like, have I gained weight? Absolutely. But I don't think by any means that I'm fat or like that I would classify that. I think that that word is a negative connotation to it. And I don't hate myself. I don't think that I'm any less than. Like, I know my worth is so much more than my physical body. Like, I really do believe those things. Do I struggle? Absolutely. However, I don't need to be saying those things to have my unconscious brain hearing. So that is also a good reminder of catching yourself when you're saying those things out loud. Like, don't put that label on it. So just a little something that came up this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Or random ass rants about judgments.
And this will come out right before 2023. The last week of December.
The fuck if I know. No, I'm just kidding.
This will come out January 8th of 2024.
This is coming out August 24th, 2024. See you then. You can find Steph at The Spooky Therapist. You can find me at BEA_XO11. You can find us at Rewriting Her Story Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. You can email us at rewritingherstorypodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear questions, concerns, comments, anything that you guys have, any topics you want covered.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to hear it. Until next time. Bye.